Pokes Report, formerly of Triple Play Sports Radio, who was Johnny on the spot this morning, had his story ready to go because he anticipated, like we had told you last week, that Cade Cunningham was going to announce he was coming to Oklahoma State regardless of the NCAA infraction, the NCAA penalty, which I don't think will happen next year anyway. I think Oklahoma State will ward that off however they have to ward it off, whether it's with the appeal or maybe an injunction. Zach joins us now. Your thoughts, young Zach, when you saw Cade made it official, and you liked the video.
Yeah, it was a really good video. I think it's obviously an Oklahoma State video, but it's short, it's sweet, it was to the point. You knew he was sticking with Oklahoma State virtually as soon as he started talking, and then you saw the OSU shirt, and then obviously throwing in the keywords loyal and true. It's huge. It's a massive, massive pickup again for Mike Boynton. And I was talking to young Marshall Levinson, like you just mentioned. I called him shortly after I got our article up, and I said, Marshall, the fact that Cunningham is coming back to Oklahoma State is this is bigger for Mike Boynton than the original commitment back in November. Because I'm with you. I wrote shortly after the penalties were passed that Oklahoma State will do whatever it takes to play the upcoming season, whether it's through the appeals or it's through the legal system or whatever. But the fact that you have upcoming postseason ban, the one season that Cade Cunningham is expected to be in Stillwater, the fact that Cade Cunningham has turned down at least $500,000 from the G League on multiple occasions, Mike Boynton securing Cade Cunningham is huge, and it should make Oklahoma State fans excited, not just for this season, but for future seasons with what Boynton can do in recruiting.
Yeah, when I look at this, and you mentioned the $500,000 he could have made staying, he didn't even have to go overseas. He could have stayed in the States, made about $500,000. That's
not including endorsements.
Right, that's before taxes with the G League. But see, that's where I'm going with this, Zach. The G League, it's like Holly Rose said a couple of weeks ago on Sirius. I was listening to her. She says, or it may have been somebody else on the show said, Ari Temkin may have been the one. I don't know, but said, where do you watch the G League? Well, I mean, it's out there. You can find it. Some of the local regional sports networks do a little bit of G League basketball. It might be on like Your View on Cox with the local team in Oklahoma City. But the G League doesn't get much. I mean, people don't watch the G League. They don't get up in the morning, grab their sports page, or go to the internet to check the G League standings. And they don't look to go watch G League basketball. This reminds me a lot of some of the famous one and dones in college basketball, in that the smart reason for Cade Cunningham to do this, and again, for it to work, he needs to be good and Oklahoma State needs to be good. But he's going to build his brand for 1 year at Oklahoma State with the hope that the investment of building his brand will be worth a lot more than the $500,000 he could have taken. Kind of like, let's make a deal. He's leaving that $500,000 because what he thinks is behind the curtain at Oklahoma State will build his brand better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you look at the product that Mike Boynton has put around Cade Cunningham. If you skip to the 15-second mark in the video, it's Matthew in the commitment video. It's Matthew Alexander Moncrief. Moncrief's been in the Dallas area working out with Cunningham for the past few months, and Boynton, shortly after signing day in April, said that if Moncrief didn't grow up in Canada and he played his high school ball in America, that he would have been a top 20 prospect. Well, most top 20 prospects across the country, once they go to college, usually have a really solid freshman year. And so you put a top 20 prospect with Cade Cunningham, you put one of the top returning point guard, shooting guards in the country in Isaac Likely with Cunningham, you put a guy who's grown exponentially with Caleb Boone with Cade Cunningham, you put all these products around him, Chris Harris, Avery Anderson. I find it really hard that Cade Cunningham can't have an incredibly productive season in Stillwater to help grow his brand.
Yeah, and the exposure will be important. Oklahoma State, even with this NCAA stuff, um, I keep wanting to call it crap because to me it is. I mean, I just don't get it. I'll never get it. This is a deal that I think should have been. NCAA said, "Look, you guys did everything right. It's a shame that Lamont Evans was in your program, but you got him out as soon as I mean that's what it should have been. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want the NCAA to punish the guilty, and I want them to protect the others. And in this case, I don't think Oklahoma State was guilty. I think they were a victim, to be honest. Okay, that set aside. Um, Oklahoma State's going to be on TV a lot this year, and Cade Cunningham's going to be the story. And there's a ton of value, like we were saying in that. Here's the thing, though. This team is going to have to be explosive. They were going to anyway, but when you take URNA out, that kind of diminishes some of the half court stability, both on defense and offense. So this team, I look at this team and the way they'll be coached and the way they'll have to play. Uh, they're gonna have to be a team that gets aggressive and goes after it, runs every opportunity. Isn't that what you're seeing without URNA?
Yeah, and I wrote about that because shortly after URNA announced he was going into the transfer portal, or the reports came out, Oklahoma State
Right.
landed a commitment from another guard who didn't perform that well at Ole Miss in Bryce Williams, but was very explosive and had a hot hand outside the 3-point line when he was at Daytona State. Played one season with Eric Pastrana. You saw a lot last year of Mike Boynton wanting to play smaller, wanting to be faster, wanting to try to score as fast as they can, because you have the defenders that can get back. You've got Ice, you've got Chris Harris, Avery Anderson was a stickler at times last year. All of those guys, the younger guys, Harris, the other freshmen, they're going to be another year advanced. You watch Cade Cunningham. I watched a lot of his high school ball this past year. He's explosive on both ends of the court. He can direct traffic. It's going to be a fast-paced offense. Now, obviously, you've still got Caleb Boone and then Moncrief. He's a bigger stretch forward of 6'9", I believe, 6'8", 6'9". So I mean, you're going to have size down low. You're just not going to have as much depth there at the center position. But I kind of got even before Anae transferred or went into the transfer portal, you kind of got the impression that Boynton and his coaching staff was wanting to kind of make that switch to more of a fast-paced, explosive offense, and I think this year sets up perfectly for it.
Now it will be interesting. Hey, appreciate your coverage on this. And again, you can read Zach at Pokes Report, and he had the story up about a minute after it'd been tweeted by Cade Cunningham. So great news for the Cowboys. And Zach, we will talk to you soon.
Absolutely appreciate the time.
All right, Zach Lancaster, and again.